Let's do it.
Happy Friday, everybody. This is Crypto and Coffee with your favorite trading bros, Clutch Crypto, B. Wellington. We got a new monthly candle, and we have some predictions on what we think we're going to see into the weekend. And just as a reminder, New York's going to be closed on Friday, so make sure you guys shoot all your fireworks off on or Monday. I'm sorry,
Monday.
and I wish everyone a happy 4th. But let's dive into it and see what we're looking at. We did start with a green candle with that little pump that we got yesterday in open for the Australia session. However, looks like it has turned to the downside.
Yeah, I mean it's got a lot of time left, but what I'll tell you is I think, a lot of that month end closing is cleanup by some of these funds and whatnot. And so that, it was expected to go one way or the other, but they didn't want that monthly candle to close where it was at, because then, that triggers a lot of the technical analysis and all that stuff for time to come. So, this is the monthly, like you mentioned. I mean, we're here at this price 1048. And, if you believe in the vectors being, revisited, like we do, shout out to Traders Reality, Tino. We still got vectors coming all the way down. And so if you look at this area here, you're right, like this really is, and I hate to say, 299, 300. This looks like if I was on a monthly chart and this is all I had, I'd be looking at 300 as resistance, right? Like as support, sorry. So, right,
Wow.
like if you look at this on a month, it kind of looks pretty scary, right? Because we've come up, we've come back down. So potentially, we could either come up here to cause that trifecta, but this is also on the monthly. So this is years. This could be years out. But it just looks fairly interesting relative to what's going on in all these vectors that cause the price to go where it's at. What the other thing that's funny is, I think if you look at if you look at this on the USDT chart, the big, and of course this doesn't have all the history because the USD ETH has more history than USDT. But look at this bad boy here for
Man, that's a lot of
the
volume right
monthly.
there, dude.
Yeah, a lot of volume. So just touching on that. So we'll go back to our normal charts on the daily. And so as we mentioned, again, right, we've had this, this was, indicated this big drop in volume here overall. Even this little pump that we had a little bit of volume, but you can see all the volumes coming on the sell side. So as we move through the week, I mean, we're on Friday, so we've kind of gone through. I mean, we had a little bit of a reversal, not much. And so now it's going to be about what are they going to do going into a 3-day weekend, going into a holiday weekend. So, I would say be extra careful, relative to your trades, because there's 3 days of essentially, not a lot of liquidity in the market. Therefore, smaller players can move the market more. But I do anticipate us getting into this area soon, over the next couple weeks, because this is the daily. So we've had this move up. We've trapped these folks up here. And so we continue to fall down. It wouldn't surprise me if we capitulated somewhat over the weekend to take out these wicks down here, come down into this area, and then make a hard reversal coming into next week. That would not be a surprise for me. If we go into the hourly to see kind of what can happen in the near term, so we do have the hourly pattern wise. You would say that this could be an M pattern that forms if it does come into this area on the M side, and it holds. Then again, you could have that reversal,
Do you mean W?
or W. Sorry,
Hey! You were right. Just a W is an upside down M.
right.
Ah.
Ah, but we have this W that's forming, and so they're going to do a lot of trickery, get down to this area, and then we'll have to see if it holds. If it does hold, and we get into this area, which is not that far away. I mean, we see moves like this in a day. We're still within the daily range to move back down, but we also have psychological low and psychological high up here as well. So they may come back and touch this, the the 200, but it would still, if it bounced back off and came back down. So there may be some trapping that goes on. I'll tell you personally, I'm probably going to fade anything that moves to the upside as far as the short is concerned, just because I do believe that they're going to visit this area here, fairly quickly. And really what I believe is they're going to break this peak here and get folks a little bit nervous coming into
Oh
this
yeah,
period.
absolutely. I mean, we see this happen on those smaller time frames all the time, and that's exactly probably what looks like is going to happen.
So just looking at a smaller time frame, not to beat a dead horse, but we're not, we really have been testing this 200, and this is the 14-minute. We've been testing this 200, that's out there. We've got yesterday's low down here as well, which is this wick. Which a lot of folks got trapped and I'm sure got taken out in this area. Then we came back up, trapped here, and so we've been slowly coming back down. So looks like to me that we'll probably revisit these lows. We still have another vector here to the downside, and of course this wick down here. So again, I think this being a Friday, it's a little unpredictable. So I'd be interested to see what Bookmap and High Block have to say. But from a chart perspective, we're above the daily open. I see this area as a good opportunity probably to come back, break 1,000 again, and really work this area and test this area. And probably it'll bounce around here because you got a lot of folks who are going to trade off of this wick right here. And then when everybody thinks it's going to head back up, it'll probably come back down after some shorts have been built.
Pay attention, folks, to chart patterns there. If that wick does break lower than yesterday's low, but we do get a bounce, definitely pay attention to that being a trap setup for those people that went long in that area. So pay real close attention to it if that happens.
So here on the open interest, I mean, we're right about the 3.6 billion. I mean, we're just talking about perpetual at this point in time. And, looking at where it's at, I believe that we probably have a lot of shorts that are building in that area, but, below 4 billion again, I think 3.2, 3.1 was some of the low that we've seen. So this could go down further, but there's still some good participation in the market. But because there's such a low open interest on the perpetual, I mean, spot's really driving a lot of the activity at this point in time, whatever spot wants to do. If we look at things like funding rate, overall it's positive, even though you've got some of the major exchanges. Like I always like to pay attention to FTX and what they're doing, because they are one of the major players. I mean, right now, Sam Friedman is bailing out everybody, and I'm sure that he's got his own traders that maybe not using these accounts. But I like FTX seems to know what they're doing when it comes to trading. So when I see the whole exchange is weighted towards the short side, I pay attention. Going into the stock market, traditional stock market, we are down. I mean, we're out of normally when we broadcast, we're broadcasting in that first 30 minutes to of the open. So didn't quite see it. I did sleep in, but we are down going into Friday, but this could change, right? Moving into the weekend, but the environment is still very bearish, very negative. We still have a lot of event risk that's out there. I don't know if you saw Ford this morning. I tweeted about it, but Ford halted production on like 100,000 cars because of the chip. They're having trouble getting chips
again.
So they've halted trading on General Motors, right? And so now you've got 100,000 vehicles sitting there waiting for chips. And where do you think those chips are coming from, right? They're coming from Taiwan. Where do you think Taiwan's getting the noble gases to build those chips? Out of Russia. So all this is starting to take effect on American business and hurting an American brand, stable brand, blue chip brand like GM. Man,
I'll tell you this, man. If Henry Ford was still alive, he'd be rolling over in his grave. At Henry Ford's peak, everything at the Detroit plant up in that the Ford House, they produced every single piece of that car that they made. The Model
Well,
T, everything down to the tires, dude. If you guys have time, man, the Titans That Built America is a great show on the History Channel.
well, thanks for that plug.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, man, it's really interesting.
No, I would agree with that, and I think part of us getting back into any type of realm of competitiveness as a country is to bring some of that manufacturing back home. But of course, with we're going to need a lot of technology around manufacturing in order to keep those costs low because the labor differential between us and the rest of the world is just and the culture of employees is so much different here. So anyway, not to get off of the topic of the crypto side, but we talked about this yesterday. I mean, all these numbers came in. I actually consider this to be positive, even though they're bad numbers. It's positive. They're not as bad as what they were perceived to be, and so I do think that all these numbers will be construed next week, and you'll see a lot of positive data coming out about those things. And I think we do find a pump that's coming very near. So this is for today. We've had the PMI, the 52.7, which is a positive number as well. The manufacturing index at 53%, that's pretty flat. Construction spending is down. That's to be expected. So when you start looking at that number, it's homes, even commercial side of it. So demand destruction is happening. That's one of the goals of the Fed is to fight inflation through demand destruction. And that's definitely happening. So we've got for next week after a holiday on Monday, like you discussed, Clutch, so be careful because those 3-day weekends can be tricky. But we've got, factory orders, core capital equipment order revisions. This is going to be very important. Non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate coming out on Friday. There's been unemployment has been fairly low. And I think that's why the Fed's been so aggressive or don't mind being aggressive because the Fed has two mandates: get inflation under control through demand destruction and keep reasonable unemployment. So if unemployment is low, then they have room for more demand destruction until they get unemployment. So unfortunately, you've got a lot of people out there that want, they want low inflation and they want low unemployment. But in the environment that we're in, where a lot of the inflationary parts that we look at are not controlled internally by the United States, that's going to be very difficult. But if we're just talking about the Fed's own, there's only so much in that basket that they can do. And, they're using it as much as they can. And I actually think that the Fed's doing a decent job at this point relative to controlling inflation. When you start looking at demand destruction, the other thing that needs to happen and what the next shoe needs to drop, if you're talking about a rebound in the market, is policy change around, energy production and domestically would do a lot to help the inflationary numbers and get the economy back on track. Anyway, that's my macro for today. And
it was great, man. I thoroughly enjoy that. Let's take a look and see what we got going on Hyblock and Bookmap. And we're going to go from there. So Hyblock Capital, one of our favorite charts to look at. Can you see it? Are you good?
Yep.
Okay, so yesterday we were around negative $7 billion on the cumulative liquidation delta. And then we got that nice little move to the upside that I mentioned last night during the Sydney Open that took us up to the $1,100 range. And as you guys have probably been paying attention, we are just slowly trickling our way back down. We're currently sitting around negative 4.7 billion. There's one big liquidation that's over $80 million.
Woo!
That guy's have to zoom
Is that your
in.
trade? Did you go long there?
You know what? Let's look at Bookmap in a minute. But this guy, right? Where is he? 77 million is at 1031. I do expect that we may sink back down into that range. As you can see, a lot of people going long off of this little move that we got up here to about 1070. And as you can see, we're coming down. A lot of people are still trying to go long. Shorts are starting to build up. So this short move may be short-lived, and I'll tell you why
But
in just a second.
do you think, you got all these hedge funds that are going on, like 3AC just got their liquidation notice. They can't pay back like 250 million. You got all these hedge funds that are like scrambling, Sam Friedman's lending out money. So when I see numbers like that coming in, 70, I feel like somebody's taking their last of their, what they have left, right? Because a lot of them got hit by Luna and probably are in a leverage trade with
Oh, no doubt.
75 million, trying to make up the difference and try to make some money so that they can avoid insolvency. I mean, what
Well,
do you think about that?
you know my saying, when you try to force things to happen, there's usually conflict, and you better be damn good at dealing with conflicts to get yourself out of the sinking ship. So I'm with you 100%. I really hope that these guys don't get liquidated out of their positions, but I can tell you right now. This is sitting out here, so they may be bailing. If they bail here, that's going to be a big sell. So you will see a nice bounce in that range, probably 1030. And we have another 43 $1 million liquidation down at 1014. So big thing, guys, pay attention to is this. We need to break above this 1070 area, which is where we have the VWAP on Bookmap. We need to break out of that and can continue to see some continuation to the upside. There's still a lot of short liquidations above us, so do pay attention. These are the key areas we're looking at today. There's 1070, and then of course down here there's 1030, and as a last resort probably this 1015. If we break lower and we get down past that last wick, like I mentioned from yesterday, I think it was like in the high 990s. We want to, if we see that wick get broke there and then bounce up, that's a perfect setup for a trap, because if you follow chart patterns, that's going to break the pattern down. So we would definitely be continuing. We'll get a bounce, but we would be continuing down into that $800 range that we were discussing on the show just earlier. Something that I think is really interesting, and that's going to lead to a very trappy day. And possibly a really trappy weekend, is when we came up here, a lot of people going long right here, a lot more people going long right here. This was the trap setup. And then you see a lot of people going short right here. I'm not sure if it was just these guys getting taken out of their positions or some more shorts getting built, because we're slowly continuing to trickle our way down. We pretty much came down right down into this, this high to mid 1040 range. We're working our way back up to about 1060, and I really think what we're going to see happen is we're going to be retesting this area where the VWAP is, so 1068, 1070, which are those exact points that we talked about. We want to see a breakout from there. If we're going to see some more movement to the upside today, but again, this is also the very end of our chart volume profile right now, so there's a good possibility that we just get another bounce off of this VWAP and get rejected. If we scroll out on the bigger, larger view, as far as where the open liquidity is on the market right now, it's the same story that we've been dealing with for a couple of weeks, guys. All the long-term liquidity is sitting to the bottom, which is a really good indication for the short term that we're going to see some lower prices come in. So there's just not a lot of positivity going on. The bulls are trying to fight. They are trying to hang on, especially with those big, long leverage trades that we were just talking about, and excess of almost $80 million. Like, these guys are trying to hold on with everything they have. Will they hold? That's left to be determined. So the key areas again is going to be us breaking down past that 990 area to continue downside, or us getting back up passing the 1070 area that we're in now. And then if we can break that 1100 and get past yesterday's little vector wick that popped up, and we can get past that, we'll see some movement to the upside again, we're going into the weekend, so it's all retail. The whales really like to manipulate things, and especially really love to manipulate things on long weekends like this coming up. Um, so I'm really just anticipating that we're just going to see a bunch of choppy moves over the next couple of days. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good assessment. I mean, the weekend's going to be crazy. I mean, it's Friday. You know, people are going to be on vacation, not on vacation, but have a 3-day weekend. They
Oh
may
yeah.
trade retail may trade more because they've got more time, right? Monday may be kind of crazy because folks are off. They may decide to put some trades in. And I think if I was to be honest with you, I think people are getting antsy, man, about crypto. I think I read an article that about crypto has dropped in interest from a consumer standpoint. Overall consumer is getting battered with inflation, and so
Well,
I think
when you look into crypto, I would say a large margin of people are just buy the coin as a like a investment stock. They don't leverage trade it like we do, and of course they don't go over the analysis that we do. If you guys are doing that, definitely start tuning into our show. We're having our Twitter and Instagram accounts. They'll be up next week, and we're going to be seeing. We're going to be firing out signals and everything all day long, every day, moving forward, to really help people on the retail side. Try to give them a little bit of an advantage because we're doing what we love, and we're actually pretty good at this. So. Um, we're just out here to help everybody out. And a lot of people are getting, they buy at the top, they get in those traps, and now we have just this catastrophic drop from our previous highs. And, people, this is starting to get that gut wrenching feeling like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago on the show. People are really starting to get to the point where it's kind of scary, right? Because I mean, they're just literally watching their accounts just deplete away, and they're going to hold, and maybe and then people keep buying the dip, and it keeps going lower. So at that point, it's like, people kind of give up on things. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, and there's now with the bear market and all these funds that are going under, the enthusiasm, because now you really don't know.
Right.
I like how many people I remember being in a cafe and somebody overheard me, talking about crypto. And the guy he was an older guy, or at least older than me, turns around and starts talking about Terra Luna, how, and I remember it very vividly now because, that's when Terra was at its peak and everything else. I mean, all these guys, I mean, it was a group of guys sitting at this cafe, and they were 100% Terra, they were 100% Luna. And when you get into these coins and you believe in them, you're putting in a considerable amount of your wealth into these coins, and for that to be taken out unexpectedly and to no fault of really anything outside of not doing, I would say, not doing proper due diligence, because there was a lot of people that were against Luna and kind of called it out as a Ponzi scheme. But you got, so, but if you're just trading that as as a coin, or holding that as something that you believe in, man, that's a considerable amount of stress that you have to go through, and then to watch the markets continue to move down and down, and then how that then affects all these other markets that's out there, like exchanges and whatnot that have them, and
Absolutely.
funds. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So but we are getting to that point.
This is non-financial advice, but the altcoins, the ones that are going to survive are the ones that have the great platforms, and this is, I really hate to put it to you like this, but this is really healthy for the crypto market to flush out the altcoins and even the exchanges that aren't built well, aren't built soundly, and you're starting to see a lot of that collapse. I mean, that's why we really try to focus on trading in with coins that are really stable as far as their platforms and everything. We really like trading ETH because it trades well, and there's a much lower risk of it just getting completely wiped out versus a small altcoin or whatever that looks like. So be careful with the altcoins right now, especially if you're looking to get into altcoins, you're looking to get into crypto. I do have to say this: the bottom's not. We're not at the bottom, but when we do reach the bottom, we'll definitely tell you what we think, and that would probably be a good time to start getting into altcoins and reinvesting in crypto as well. So if you're waiting to buy a dip, the bottom's not there yet. So you guys just keep holding on, and we'll keep telling the story every day as it unfolds. So that way we can hopefully get you guys a good entry on the bottom to cost dollar average in what you already have invested in crypto. So again, we'll see you Tuesday, same time, same place. We probably will do a show on Sunday night as normal, just to kind of see what the markets are looking like and kind of go over what the weekend on Sunday night has looked like. So we'll probably be shooting that show around 7 or 8 o'clock Sunday night, just to kind of go over it and then have a little bit of chit chat and a little bit of fun. So everybody have a great 4th of July weekend. Pay attention to those key areas that we talked about. Be safe in your trades. And until next time, AMF.